Welcome, friends. This is Kiki Rogers with Kiki's Best Friends radio show, a show that brings you weekly stories of friends who have survived their worst and are now living their best. And that you hear in my co-host, Pastor John McLean.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, Pastor John. How's your Sunday going?
I'm just feel highly blessed and favored, and definitely one of my favorite parts of the week is getting to dance to your intro music. So well done.
I love that song. Isn't that great?
That's fun. It just everybody in the room just gets jumping around when that song comes on. So well done in choosing that song. And
it's got great positive energy, and that's what we're really bringing to the table here, isn't it?
That's it.
And we have a great guest with us today, John. Jeanine Colini is with us. Welcome, Jeanine.
Hi, it's great to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we love having you here. This is quite a treat. For those who don't know Jeanine, Jeanine is local here to Tucson, not originally, but lives in Tucson now. And Jeanine is quite the talented and successful artist. If you had the pleasure to visit St. Philip's Church during Christmas and saw their beautiful nativity watercolor that was on their brochures and available for purchase, that was Jeanine's artwork, was it not?
It sure was. In fact, there were 37 pieces throughout that lovely worship bulletin that was commissioned by St. Philip's.
Oh, how wonderful. How did you get together with them and get that project going?
Well, St. Philip's is my church, and I moved to Tucson in 2018, and I discovered them just literally a few days or a week after I arrived. I went there, and it's a beautiful place. And spinning forward to 2022, Father Robert Hendrickson commissioned me to do that work. He is the head rector there.
That's awesome.
And he had a vision for having that artwork in a piece that was an evergreen piece, because Christmas Eve is the same every year. And it gets used year after year, and it's awesome. And it's going to be on display there permanently in one of the big conference rooms. So it's thrilling to me.
That is quite an accomplishment. That is cool.
Yeah, that is cool. And I don't know, the part that I was stuck about, even though that's super awesome that you built that relationship with the church, and so much to have them commission work, because I know, being a student of art history, that's kind of like our greatest artist. That's how it happens. Someone commissions them to do it. But the thing that was stuck in my head is you've been here since 2018. They say it takes 5 years to acclimate to the weather here. Do you feel acclimated?
Well, I moved here from Southern California, so it didn't take long.
Okay, good.
Not as much.
Although I'm going to say this colder experiencing, I don't want to acclimate to that.
I think you're not alone.
That's a new thing. People don't realize that, but 10 years ago here in Tucson, it wasn't like this. It didn't get this cold. This was pretty much like the San Diego, Hawaii people would run away to. So, yeah, I'm not a fan either.
Yeah.
Well, that could be a whole nother show.
Yeah, sorry.
Climate change
getting sidetracked here.
Being an insurance agent by day, I mean, talk about the storms of 2023 and weather. It's definitely been all over the place. But we are so blessed in this town to have you, Jeanine, part of it, and sharing your art with us.
Yeah, and I met her, thankfully, at one of your networking events at Top Golf Kiki, and definitely hearing just pieces of Jeanine's story, much like many artists, like a Picasso of our day. A lot of people don't realize that we have these individuals around us that are just classically trained, spent their whole life, have over 30 years of art experience, and are really just like savants hiding among us. I have I say this because one of my best friends, an artist, a 55-year-old Jewish artist, and like Jeanine, just once you speak to them, the history just pours out of them like a fountain. So it was definitely a blessing to spend time with her and speak with her.
Well, and luckily we get to share that with our guests today. So, Jeanine, share with us a little bit about how you discovered you wanted to be a designer or an artist by trade.
Okay, yeah, it's a story, a path with a pretty straight line, because I am that kid that always used to love drawing, looking at pictures and then sort of imitating them a little bit. And as a child, I was more interested in the pictures and picture books than the story, the writing. I mean, that's part of it. But it just was always something I did. I was always making things with my hands. It was usually drawing and coloring and painting. It wasn't normally craft or three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Although there was some of that, but I'm really more of a 2D creator, if that makes sense. And when I was very lucky, went to public high school in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time in the 60s and 70s, we had an abundance of art offered. And my school also offered design classes. So I have this balanced left brain, right brain thing. And design really appeals to me because it's very creative, but it's also highly functional. And you have to order things. Things have to be placed in orderly order and so that people can use them properly.
Oh, that's really fascinating. I don't think about art as being an orderly process, but realistically,
art,
I think there is a lot more of planning and strategy that goes behind the scenes that people don't really realize that come into a print.
My artwork tends to be a little bit more cerebral and maybe a little bit more literal in certain ways because I do design lettering and alphabets. So all the years that I was a designer, I was a publication designer. I had a specialty in print. I got involved with it because I loved, I'm a tactile type of person. I like to create in tactile, a kinesthetic learner, learn by doing. So print publications appealed to me. And even though I went to your typical art school,
Did you go to art school in New York then?
Yeah, I went to Pratt Institute. It's in Brooklyn, New York. I graduated with a BFA in 1981. And
BFA, that's a first one. I don't know if I've ever heard that one.
Bachelor of Fine Arts.
Okay,
it's the fancy way.
Cool. Yeah.
But it is an art degree with an associate's built in.
That sounds fancy. I like that.
Some people say it sounds like it's just a souped-up trade school.
No, not me.
But it is very. You get out of there very specifically with something to do. To go get a job, basically. It's a very pragmatic education.
And so is that what you did? Did you seek out employment elsewhere, or did you seek out your own business with it?
No,
right away?
I worked for so I graduated in New York City. I worked for 3 years in the New York market, and I did very well. I had a good credential. My last job was with a very prestigious design firm called Pentagram Design. I was a lowly junior, so I wasn't going to really go anywhere there, but it ended up on my resume as a calling card, if you will. So on a very whimsical note, I moved out to Los Angeles because I just thought the weather would be really awesome, and it was.
Yeah, compared to New York in winters.
Oh, yeah. So I always say New York was the perfect place to be raised and to get an art education and to start out. And then I moved to LA. And that's when I started my business after 1 year.
And tell us a little bit more about that business.
So it was, started out as Jeanine Colini Design Associates because I worked for corporate clients. My clientele were very large corporate public utilities, hospitals, and universities. I just got right into that. And it was great because it was lucrative, and it was, big budgets and big projects allowed me to flex my creative muscles, and that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. And, it's like any other business. You start out the first 3, 4, 5 years, you struggle. The first 3 years really struggle. But that was the early 80s. That was a very good time to be a designer. It was historically a good time, and then that changed, which we'll talk about later.
Well, yeah.
Or maybe we'll talk about it now.
So you're in LA, and how long were you in LA for?
I was in LA for a very long time. I was there for, I think it was 35 years.
Okay. And running a successful business.
Yeah.
But
really having fun.
That business was starting to change shortly towards the end there. Why was that?
So the industry started changing because as the internet inserted itself into the into the mix, print started to diminish in favor of digital media coming in. And although there are still print outlets and there's still print going on, but the pickings got real slim. And I was good at finding the needles in the haystacks, but it was becoming stressful and a bit of a drudge.
So having so much success and being as talented as you are and as creative as you are, but also being a very business mindful woman and running your own business as you were, it sounds like you have a lot of resilience then within you to adapt to those changes. Where do you get that resilience from?
I think you'll probably get it from my family of origin. Very hardworking, not afraid, never shy away from work. Where I'm different though is there's a stubbornness in me that it's like I'm gonna figure out how to make this work. And
you see it through,
but you can see through your part, but you cannot create opportunities where they really don't exist.
Okay, so we're going to talk about creating those opportunities when we come back after the break. But before so, I just want to thank Pastor John McLean for being here with me as my co-host today.
It's my honor.
Well,
absolutely.
It is such an honor to be part of the Common Good Media lineup and to kick us off every Sunday with Kiki's Best Friends.
The best for first.
And I couldn't do it without you and without God, and I'm so grateful for that. But I'm also grateful to our incredible sponsors.
Absolutely.
So I want to give them a shout out right now. First of all, We Care Tucson. We Care Tucson provides both medical supplies and technology to people who otherwise may not be able to afford it. So if you have any computer devices or medical devices, or especially if you have any incontinence supplies, they are in desperate need for those at We Care Tucson. And we want to thank Sarah Sauter's Luxury Real Estate, specializing in the Oro Valley region with the Oro Valley Homeowner Magazine, and soon to come the Tucson Home Magazine as well. And Kiki Rogers Country Financial Insurance, of course. We wouldn't be here without our sponsors and without Common Good Media lineup. So thank you to all of them. Thank you to Jeanine Colini for being here. After the break, we'll come back and hear more about how Jeanine had transitioned from feeling that stress to actually being able to move forward with the change in her career. And I'm excited to hear it.
And also, we want to invite you, if you want to talk with us, call 520-790-2040 to ask Jeanine questions. Ask us questions. Be part of the conversation.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, Pastor John, for suggesting that. We're going to go into the break now, and when we come back, hopefully we'll have a caller, or we can hear more about Janine's story. And welcome back, friends. This is Kiki with Kiki's Best Friends radio show, a show that brings you weekly stories of people who have survived their worst and are now living their best. And we have one of my best guests ever on today, Jeanine Colini, local artist extraordinaire. And Jeanine was just sharing about how when she was running her business in LA and noticing technology coming in, she was noticing maybe needing a change in her career. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't want to villainize technology, because technology has enabled a lot of things for me. Of course. But it did kind of crush that print publication, media type of work. And it was one of those things. I would have been quite happy to coast along and continue designing books and reports and all that stuff on paper, and but it wasn't meant to be. Well,
I think we should take a moment to recognize some of your work that has been very popular, especially for those like myself. I was a young lady in the 90s, and I remember almost all of my friends, when they started having children, had these amazing posters that were these animal alphabets. And that was your work that got very popular in that time. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. I have the Story of A to Zoo, which is the title of the animal alphabet, which is made into a multitude of things, an alphabet print, cards, custom names, you name it. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But I created that in art school. I created it, finished it in 1981. It was my senior project at Pratt. Wow. And on graduation day, the school asked me to license some of the letters for their incoming admissions handbooks. I literally delivered it on graduation day. And the woman that commissioned me to do that, Marie Avona, lives in Brooklyn, and we are still in touch regularly. Cool. It's real nice to have her friendship.
And if you haven't seen that print in person yourself, you may have seen it even on some popular TV and movies at the time. It was used in the background.
Yeah, it's been around since 81. It's been on sale. It did find its way onto a set of the TV show Dynasty. It was probably in the baby nursery, and then it was in this movie 3 Men and a Baby, which I never saw. It was also a piece of it original work that I recreated of those letters ended up in the collection of the actor Jimmy Stewart.
Nice.
Because
wow.
he used to be a very active member of the Greater Los Angeles Zoo Association board, a real animal lover.
That's
Oh,
cool.
okay.
Yeah, so it's found its way into some really nice
Nice.
places. Make me happy.
So what inspires your creativity?
I don't know. I mean, okay, I have no idea where this comes from, but I told you I like to draw. I particularly enjoy doodling and drawing letters. I have no idea where that comes from,
Letters.
but it's something I'm slightly
Like
obsessed
different
with.
fonts or like...
Not really. Block letters that I can then create into animals. I have another one that's, of
Interesting.
course, a cactus.
Okay.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have 2 more in the works.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre, but people, from a marketing business perspective, people love to see their name personalized. And when you see a child's name or an adult's name, anyone's name in those letters, people get real excited. They want one for themselves.
Well, before we get a little bit more into the heart of rediscovering your passion and making those changes, if someone wants to see your artwork, wants to order one of these prints, these are great gifts for babies being born to do their name in the letters. It's really awesome option that you have, as well as the cacti and other things coming. How can people find your shop online?
Yeah, easy to find. 4 letters. I changed my name to Jeanine Colini Design Art, but I've
Okay.
always been jcda.com. 4 letters.
That's jcda.com.
Just like the radio station, 4 letters.
That's
Nice.
perfect.
Except mine doesn't start with a K. And it's easy to remember. I'm on Instagram, just my first and last name. You can link to it from there if you jot it down.
And that's
You could just go
Jeanine
visit it.
Colini, spelled Jeanine Colini.
One
Just
L.
one L.
Yeah.
Yes. I have it mistyped in one spot, but I caught that earlier.
Yeah. So, I started out as an artist. I parlayed those skills into a graphic design business with publications as a specialty. Publications are lots of letters, lots of words,
So
and that's kind of dovetails to the alphabet stuff.
perfect.
Yeah.
And as we were saying, you had a successful career in LA, but you're noticing that technology was kind of affecting your business, and you made a drastic move to after 30 plus years in LA. You came to Tucson in 2018. What sparked that?
Yeah, I moved to Tucson because, just being totally honest, LA was, as I like to say, fraying at the edges for me. It was getting too crowded. The traffic was ridiculous, and the housing. I own my own home there, but I sold it to leave. Housing in LA was crazy. So I decided, in terms of cost, it's a sheer cost financial thing. And I discovered Tucson, and I decided, because Tucson has a strong arts community, it made sense to come here where I could live a nicer lifestyle. Frankly, I mean, LA is a place that I enjoyed while I was there, but now I enjoy being here.
Okay.
Yeah, even though it's changing. I'm sure even since 2018, since you've been here, you're seeing, like, ever since COVID, the things are changing. That traffic is from up where I live in the Northwest to here. It takes a little bit longer.
Yeah, I've noticed that. We get a break in the summer when all the snowbirds are back east, but it's okay. I kind of like both. I'm a big city girl, so I'm okay with that, actually.
But honestly, I think coming from a big city, or myself coming from the Twin Cities, which is a very different kind of physical and cultural structure in Minnesota than it is in greater Tucson area, I think we come to appreciate the small town that Tucson still has about it.
Yeah, there's more of an ease of getting around. And I appreciate that a lot. So, the thing that triggered, if that's the right word, my design business into a full-on art business was COVID.
Okay. So you moved here 2018, just 2 years later, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And you were focused more on the design and on the business of things, and you decided you wanted to shift your focus more into the art. Is that how that developed?
It was a decision that was forced upon me, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Sometimes we're struggling to make a change, and for some reason we keep banging into the wall. But when COVID hit and all my brick and mortar clients closed down, what choice did I have? I honestly did not know how I was going to survive. It was really that was hard.
Did you feel like that was kind of your worst moment then? Or one of them?
One of them, because the other worst moment was when it became clear that my design business was not going to be able to function in the way it was. And I also knew I did not want to become a digital media designer. That's not me.
So you said you go to St. Philip's Church, you're a Christian woman, you have faith. We know that we have to humble ourselves before God, but being a creative as you are and being as talented and as gifted as you are, how do you tap into your spirituality to remain that humbleness and that servitude?
That's a good question.
Heart that I see in you.
I try to. Let's see. How can I describe? I do believe in my heart that I am meant to be in the arts and to make my living that way and to enjoy providing whimsical art to people so they can enjoy it. So as long as I have that in order, I feel like that's sort of out there being decided for me in a sense, that I just follow along and create, do my thing. As far as the business piece falling in, you have to get very real with it and very intentional about what you need to do to support yourself, basically. I honestly, there's nothing really else that I can think of that I would like to do that kind of makes sense to do for someone like me. I've been doing this my entire life, and I know people enjoy my work. And what I'm starting to discover now at 3.5 years is how long that online, I started a website for my business in e-commerce, that I'm beginning to observe people noticing the work and wanting the work and acquiring and having it. And that's frankly, for an artist, that's a thrill.
Do you feel you have rebound to at least the same level or beyond than where you thought you would be?
Not beyond.
Still working on it?
It's new territory. So I think I'm basically where I ought to be at this point. I'd like to obviously push it along a little further, but it's new territory. But I have a lot of hope for it.
Okay, great. And then just as we wrap things up here, we're coming down to our last minute. Jeanine, for someone else who is in a similar position, whether you're an artist or if you are a tradesman or even just a business person, and you feel like you want to make a change in your career, what advice and guidance do you give to them?
So no matter what it is that you're interested in that kind of gives you a kick, really pay attention to that. And be honest about who it is you are and what you want to do with your life, because you will have a measure of success if you do that. If you try to live someone else's dream or just try to say, no, I can't do that, it's not practical, you might run into some problems.
That's really, really great advice. Again, we are here with Jeanine Colini, JeaninneColini. If you look her up online, Instagram, or her website is jcda.com. Thank you so much for being with us today, Jeanine.
Thank you, both of you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
This is Kiki's Best Friends, a show that's about surviving your worst and now living your best. We wouldn't be here without our sponsors. Thank you to We Care Tucson, Sarah Sauter's Luxury Real Estate, and Kiki Rogers with Country Financial Insurance. Thank you, Pastor John McLean and the Common Good Media. We will talk to you next week. Be the best you can be, because no one else can do it better than you.